Hello, my name is Kathy. I work at Oakey South Chapel, and I was going to share with you a little bit about growing up with my father who had MS. I was in elementary school, and my family lived in Roanoke, and my father was head of the mechanical engineering department at a local architectural engineering firm here in Roanoke. He was a very hard worker. I can just remember him sometimes coming home on weekends and working and bringing blueprints home, and I really enjoyed looking over his shoulder at the blueprints and to see what he was doing. He worked on many projects here in the valley, one of which is the building that Community Hospital was in. His name beside the elevator there in the hospital engraved there for being one of the folks who worked on it. I believe I was probably in the 4th grade when my mom took my dad to Duke. They had been to several doctors here in the area and they could not figure out his symptoms and what he had. So she took him to Duke, and then they were able to come back in a few days. And then about a year later, they went back to Duke, and this time my dad stayed, and they finally had a diagnosis of MS, and he was admitted at Duke and stayed for quite a while. And my mom would drive back and forth down to Durham just daily to go be with him during the day and try to come home for us when we got home from school each day. And she continued this for the whole time he was there. Our minister would go down weekly and visit my dad also. And once he was finally released from Duke, he came home, and when he came home he was wheelchair bound. And he was not able to continue his career as a mechanical engineer. His dexterity and his hands were affected, and also his vision was affected by the multiple sclerosis. Our lives really changed. We were living a very nice life. We had a place at the lake and loved to ride in the boat and do things. We had a place in the country. I had horses. We went on vacations, and so our life really changed from that to living on disability and Social Security. And all those things disappeared, because of the medical bills and things. And in fact, there was a time when the hospitals were threatening to take our home away for the medical bills. So, as the years went on, the MS affected him more and more, and he would have relapses and things. And that meant more stays in the hospital and Roanoke Memorial and community. And he would also participate in trials and studies, anything to try to get some help and to help others with this situation. As I grew up, my dad attended in his wheelchair my high school graduation, and he also attended my college graduation. And then when I got married, he walked me down the aisle in his wheelchair. I had a cousin of mine pushed him down the aisle, but so that he was involved with that too. It was all very important to us to have him involved. His breathing and his lungs became affected also with the MS, and he eventually had to have a permanent tracheotomy, put in. By this time, I was married and had my son, and he would, climb up into the bed with my dad and snuggle up with him and have stories read to him and things like that. Again, it was just important just to keep him very involved with us. Later on, he was able to be admitted to the VA hospital here, where he became a permanent patient there, a long-term patient in long-term care, and he passed at the VA when he was 65. My mom used to go there daily and be with him, and would dash back to the house some during the afternoons when I would go over after school with my son. And we would visit him every afternoon after school. And then when we would leave, my husband would, when he got off from work, he would go over and visit my dad. So that was kind of our daily routine, to be with him as much as possible. Then after putting my son to bed at night and doing things, and I would get in the car and go back over to the VA and stay over there till about midnight each night, and then drive back home and get up at 6 the next morning to do my thing. As I said, my dad passed away when he was there at the VA, but they took incredible care of him, and we really appreciate what they did. So my son was only 9 when his papa passed, and I think it has all affected us, not only my growing up years and my son's early growing up years, but I think it might have had some effect on him also with his career choice, and because he got a PhD in analytical chemistry, and where he is involved now in medical research medical research and development, so he can help others too. That's my story.